Hello, welcome to Terrors of the Milky Way. My name is Dale DuFay. This is a new channel, an extension to the older channel. I just wanted to get a clean start and we can continue with the information that was gained on the other channel. There was over 1,500 videos and they had a lot of information, but there's, just some things I was uncomfortable with, like counting these Earths and because I really don't know, you know what I mean. It might be something you overlook, but the obvious fact is that Earths are different in each reality, and it seems like we're shifting into another reality that we have always existed, and it's very obvious. There's no way the Earth can change overnight. It's generally the same size, 24,800 miles in circumference. These Orion dwarf Earths, and a lot of these realities, the Earth is exactly that size, or give or take. But many of us recall the Sagittarius super Earths. Like this is, say, this Orion dwarf Earth size, and I remember the Sagittarius super Earth being that size in comparison. And so there's bound to be a, but yet that's the weird thing is they're so unusually similar, each and every one of them. Even these Orion dwarfs compared to the Sagittarius super Earths, because there's always Africa, South America, North America. Of course, the Americas would be lined up on the super Earths because the Earths grow as they age. It's very obvious. And Mandela Effect is vindicating those geologists that postulated that. It's very obvious. So as this Earth ages, eventually the Americas will line up because the northern hemisphere would naturally want to twist eastward with the rotation of the Earth. So a lot of the geologists that postulated this assumed that the northern hemisphere would twist westward. But the Mandela effect has shown that that's not the case because these Americas will line up eventually. And also this great rift through here will always be spreading 1 inch every year. So these continents were connected at one time when the Earth was Pangea and very, very small, probably the size of Mercury in this solar system. And of course, the planets are all apparently grow as they age too, because the solar systems are much larger and grander on the Sagittarius super Earth, those solar systems. So everything's larger, including the sun. So everything, in the solar system must grow as it ages and as the solar system ventures out of the galactic arm. That's why those Sagittarius super Earths are out there on the outer arm of the Sagittarius arm. That's where I actually recall being so far out on that Sagittarius arm that we were actually like almost outside of the galactic plane on the northern side of the plane. But things I wanted to point out in this reality. Now again, we don't know. I don't know the number. I'm not doing that anymore. But I still want to go over things that are obviously different on these Earths that are in different realities and very similar. And the area I want to look at is Papua New Guinea. It's right here by the Banta Arc. What do they call it? Banda Arc, right here. This is in every reality on every Earth. But this part of northern Papua New Guinea, or West Papua, right here where the island reaches this arc here. I've never noticed that before. That's like something totally unique to this reality. Because I keep an eye on Papua New Guinea. And because I always expect in some realities this will be a separate island, West Papua. And in the New Guinea here is always different. There's like, I remember in some realities it was like there were legs down here, four of them, four peninsulas. This was one of them, but it was like oriented different, looked like one of the rear legs. And here it's almost touching this incredible peninsula in Australia. This is incredible. The distance between Australia and New Guinea is very close. We can measure it here, get an idea. Let's just say from here, we'll add this, and then we'll go down. See, it's not even, what, 80 miles, give or take. That's incredible. I'm obviously on the Sagittarius super Earth. Papua New Guinea is several hundred, well, probably at least 200 miles away from Australia. Because again, as the Earth ages, everything will spread, and the Pacific Ocean will fill in more. It's incredible that this side face of the Earth is all Pacific Ocean. It's really remarkable. You can hardly see the west coast of North America and the east coast of Australia. And of course, New Guinea is always different, like all the islands. And of course, some remember it. I remember it at a 2 o'clock position off Australia. And New Guinea way out, and Indonesia and everything all really spread out. And it's just amazing. Here they call this Borneo. In some realities they don't even name it Borneo. They want to call it Kalimantan. But the islands always vary, the coastlines. It's what you look at. But this is the one that really caught my attention. I never noticed this part of the, peninsula or West Papua be having this feature right here. That really caught my attention. So that's a unique feature in this reality. Whether we shifted or when we shifted, I'm not sure. I'm not going to even venture a guess, because it's difficult to tell, because these realities are virtually identical otherwise. The people around us and things like that. I'm speaking for my own self here. Obviously, some of you obviously experience things differently. But for me, every aspect of my reality that I originated from on the outer reaches of the Sagittarius arm, which of course, by the way, is 75,000 light years from here. But that reality out there is virtually identical to the realities I'm experiencing in here, with portions of replica versions of myself sharing my soul. That's basically what's happening, and we're shifting, coalescing into all these other replica versions of ourselves. I always, liken it to the musical chairs, except for elimination. There's no elimination. Each chair is a reality. And once the music starts playing, you walk around, go around the chairs until the music stops and you're sitting in another chair, hence another reality. And that's exactly what's happening. Every portion of our soul is sitting in every chair until the music starts. And then when the music stops, we're in another reality that we have always existed in. And that's what the Mandela Effect is showing us. It answers so many questions, and what we're experiencing, not just with the Mandela Effect, but with life in general. It's amazing. So this is not the same Earth we originated from, but yet we're always here. Think about that. It's crazy. And always constantly connected on a subconscious level to this replica version of yourself in this reality. Again, that has always existed. And what happened to the portion of the soul that was in this replica version of myself? It's in another replica version of myself. Once the music stopped, sat in that reality. They always existed in. Who knows how many replica versions of ourselves there are. It's just remarkable when you think about it. But this is the really big thing. I always call them Eureka Moments. When I realized, wow, it was shifted again. Whether it's happening daily, weekly, monthly, who knows? It's incredible. But it seems like every time I look somewhere, I spot something. I do keep an eye on Papua New Guinea because of its unusual differences in each reality. Again, it's just so different. It's oriented different. It's closer to Australia in this reality, but yet overall, it's not going to change anything. The people that live on these islands in Indonesia and all that, and Borneo and Australia, of course, their realities are always going to remain the same, whether there's a huge gulf here or not. I remember Australia, the northern coast, being very consistent, and about like this. It's generally the same. Again, everything's always unusually similar, but the northern coast of Australia is vastly different than what I recall. And of course, it's not the closest in the reality I recall that this portion of my soul originated. Um, Tasmania was the closest country to Antarctica, and here New Zealand's even closer than Tasmania. It's amazing. And then, but yet they still call it the land down under. It's South America that's closest to Antarctica. It's remarkable, and it's also remarkable in this reality. I always check. It's just crazy that Chile is the furthest southern country in South America. Chile, this is the borderline right here. This little triangle is Argentina, and this part up here is Argentina on the east side here. But this whole west coast is, of course, Chile, very skinny too. So, skinny, but had to compensate somewhere, so it came all the way to the southern tip of South America in this reality. It's crazy. And that's, I noticed that about, a month or so ago. It really caught me. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And it's even got access to the Atlantic Ocean here, the country of Chile. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And even in a lot of these Orion dwarfers, it's not the case. It's always Argentina being the southern tip. In Chile, of course, sometimes it's wider, east and west, and sometimes it's narrower. I mean, look at how narrow it is here. We can even measure this point here and see, it's just, but again, nothing's changed. It's just simply a different reality. I always like to say nothing's changing, it's just different. I see it 60 miles across here at that point. That's incredible. I think the narrowest point in Chile, east and west, in the reality I recall was like 90 miles. But, again, we shouldn't be surprised. Everything's larger in those realities. And unbelievably, I remember this Sagittarius super Earth, where this portion of my soul originated, was at least, 3 times, I dare say 4 times bigger, because I never really totally remember the circumference of that Earth. I never thought to pay attention to that, I wished I had. But 68,000 plus miles comes to mind. And some people concur with that. But there are, again, some people recall things differently in the reality that their portion of their soul originated from, but that's simply because they did come from another reality. Yet we're there, but they don't know it. But it's remarkable. But you're only going to remember what your portion of the soul remembers. Each portion of our soul is split, has its own memory and independence and own reality where they originated from. So some of us are going to have different recollections. Like I always go to England here. This is a great example. Many people, when I talk about Scotland being separate from Britain in the reality I recall, some of you don't recall that. And that shouldn't be, that doesn't mean I'm incorrect or you're incorrect. It just simply means you originated from another reality where Scotland is connected to Great Britain. But I definitely recall it being separated because I remember the movie Braveheart, and they had to cross a pretty large strait across here to get to northern England. And it's it was always, I remember even in the movie, the people that arranged the boat to cross the strait reneged on him, and so it made it more difficult, but he still accomplished it. But of course the movie was different here because this geography is different, but the movie's still the movie. It's still the same story about Mike Wallace, But I also remember Ireland, Scotland was separate, Wales was separate. I remember the Isle of Wales. There was the Isle of Man and the Isle of Wales. And then Ireland was part of the United Kingdom. And it was Scotland that was separate. So but a lot of you might not recollect it. This just simply means you originated from another reality. Yet we're in all the realities. Think about that. That's what the Mandela Effect is showing us. We have replica versions of, you're in a replica version of yourself that will always stay in this reality. Everything material, earth, everything made from the earth, all life remains on the earth and stays in this reality and all the other realities. It's only our soul that's allowed to witness this and see every reality. See, this is something that's never been revealed before. I firmly believe it's something very sacred and holy. In fact, it's no doubt prophesized, and I believe it's Revelation chapter 10, verse 7, where it says, in some translations, it says that the sacred secret will be revealed. And some translations even say it'll be good news. So what could be more sacred than the fact that we have multiple replica versions of ourselves that have been sharing our soul since the day we were born all throughout the Milky Way galaxy? What could be more sacred than that? What could be more secret than the fact that this has never been revealed before, ever in the history of humanity? That's what's so incredible about all this. Think about it. And it's given us an incredible education. In fact, I have another channel I call the Mandela Effect Equals Knowledge. I'll leave a link in the description box. And go over a lot of things that the old terrors of the Milky Way channel had. Same stuff. I mean, it's just incredible. We're obviously in another reality that's unusually similar as far as things around us and the Earth in general, but virtually identical reality otherwise. And there are going to be variations and differences. The larger the scale, the more variations and differences, like the solar system, like the constellations. There's going to be variations and differences, but yet they're there in every reality. And it's remarkable. And these realities are separated by light years, not by dimensions. We have to really keep that in mind. That's important. Of course, there are other dimensions, but this is not a dimensional. The dimensions are parallel to the other dimensions. So this wouldn't be dimensional as far as what we're experiencing, because every dimension is parallel as well along with ours. And they're going to be in every reality. And we see that every time we shift, everything's the same, virtually the same, except for variations like this. And we see them on the coastlines a lot, everywhere. Japan it's remarkable how close Japan is to Korea, but yet Korea is still on the 38th parallel, it's the borderline between North Korea and South Korea. It's always on the 38th parallel. It's very unusual. That might be why it's a hot spot. That's one of the areas that's still policed in a militarized zone. It's amazing. But Japan, I always remember it way further out in the Pacific Ocean, very low very isolated. But here it's so close to the continent in general, and almost touching South Korea. It's unbelievable, and the way the borderline of China is incredible. It's way up here. Look at that. It goes way up here, and then over here, and this is Russia here, and it's amazing that Russia borders North Korea along with China. Very different. But the border lines are different in each reality, but it doesn't change anything. Everything remains the same. I always liken these realities as being quantumly entangled like a rubber band. It could, no matter what's different in each reality, it always unwinds and remains the same. Like a rubber band on an airplane, a toy airplane, for example. Everything, the outcome is always the same, regardless of what size the Earth is. It's incredible, and we get to witness this, and that's what's incredible about the Mandela Effect. But that was the big one I noticed, and I kind of ramble on. And sorry about not having comments, because there's too much hate out there, and a lot of people don't like this theory for some reason, even though it's the obvious theory that is the only logical theory that works out, where it answers every question, even residual evidence. I went over that in a video on the Mandela Effect Equals Knowledge channel. It's always, this is about education, and the Mandela Effect is a riddle. It's a conundrum, and it should be. But if the theory works and it's positive and logical, then it's the correct theory. And basically, we all have a parallel existence on a multitude of Earths, all in the same dimension. where distance separates our realities, not dimensions. And there's plenty of room in this universe, believe me, and obviously the galaxies are parallel. Everything's parallel and quantumly entangled. Quantum entanglement is the basic fundamental foundation of existence. That's the bottom line. That's what the Mandela Effect is showing us. We couldn't do anything if we didn't have all these other replica versions of ourselves constantly connected on a subconscious level. It's remarkable because every replica version of yourself is doing exactly what you're doing at every moment. Some may be a step ahead of you, some may be a step behind you. It's remarkable. I liken it to a film. Every frame in the film is a separate reality. And as it goes through the projector, each motion is like choreographed. And that's how we are able to practice and make perfect and do things and breathe automatically and things like that. It's incredible. Everything's answered by what the Mandela Effect is revealing. So, with that, I thank you for watching. And we'll Google trot at you later. Love you.